You mentioned that innovation is very important, and I totally agree with that. However, in my experience, I've seen that sometimes from taking something to research and trying to have industry interest in it, sometimes you need to develop it enough to where the industry is interested, but sometimes that development needs the industry input. So is there any plans to maybe create a venue by which industry can participate in the development of innovation?
I mean, that is a hard thing to dictate. I'd like to say, yeah, yeah, we can go do that. It's a hard thing to dictate. The industries have to want to do that. They have to have that that outreach. They have to do that themselves. One other point I'd like to make here, and I see in this room a little bit. The other thing is, I notice you're probably not a first-generation American with your accent.
Well, not.
Yeah. Half of the companies we fund at Sequoia, okay, more than half, are founded by non-first-generation Americans. Because they really, I don't know what it is, they got that spark. They came over here from their country to go do something special. We need to get guys like you, many, many more of them, in this state. Because Jerry Yang, Sergey Brin, Steve Chen, I mean, you go through the whole list. That's how you also create a ton of jobs. And so my whole thing is, I mean, you look at whether it's YouTube, you look at, I mean, all these tech companies, I mean, they employ now thousands of people because of that. So anyway, that's a side note. I don't know if that was politically correct to say or not, but I just said it.
We're all about political correctness in this crowd. Are we, Laura? Yes, go ahead.
My name is Javad Kazmi, and I'm a second-year working professionals MBA student here at Fisher. And as part of this course, we're working on this rehabilitation platform that is invented by a physical therapist that can be used to treat lower body injuries.
Yep.
So my question is there a preference from a venture capitalist standpoint or from a Sequoia standpoint that funds would be given to things like these kinds of inventions in healthcare or equipment, physical therapy, as opposed to like pure technology, software or materials?
Absolutely. No, I think one thing that we spoke about is really, for example, I think healthcare in that area with the Cleveland Clinic and what sounds like what you're doing here is a very important industry. It's a growth industry. I just saw a company the other day in Berkeley called Berkeley Bionics that basically they're using exoskeletons to allow paraplegics to walk. I mean, a person walks up in their wheelchair, scoots into this little exoskeleton, and he's walking. And so that kind of stuff is that's software, that's hardware, that's a rehabilitation type environment. There's a whole bunch of things to it. So
It's manufacturing.
Manufacturing. We want to look at all of those things and really look at where the bases are. And I'll be working with the governor and with the folks who do that. No, it's not just about software. It's not just about this or that. It's about all aspects of it.
You know, the other thing that we have to think about, look, university, I've seen glaciers move faster than university decisions, okay? Sorry, Stoddard, but it's true. I hope that Chris Kuhn is going to really push, and I think Les Wexner understands we have to push to eliminate barriers to cooperation, which is part of what you're talking about. Mark was saying to Chris out in the hall, I mean, she's got to make a trip to Stanford. I'll be more than glad to go. I love Palo Alto anyway. We have to study exactly what that university is doing to provide incentives to people in the academic setting to be creative, to be able to make financial gain from their ability to license innovative and new products. And we have to make it easier for companies to be able to work with the university and not charge them a fortune. Now I know that my old role at Invacare, we had projects going with Case Western. You know, we're a healthcare company. Case Western was interested. Barbara Snyder did a great job of that. She's from here, Chris. But there are regulations inside of the state that get in the way and a lack of, of thinking in the future about ownership, cooperation, jointness. It has to be removed because if we can have people come to Ohio, work at the Cleveland Clinic, have access to Case, and do biotechnology, or your program, you got to be kidding me, isn't it, Mark? I mean, it's a grand slam if we can get it done. And everybody goes, they want to get it done, and then nothing happens. So we're gonna have to pound some tables. You wanna help? They'll help us, right? Okay. Dick?
Governor-elect, I just have to tell you that my assignment here isn't tracking you. One of the missions that Gordon has given me is to expedite, facilitate.
Other questions? Here.
Yeah.
My name is Aaron Friedman. I'm a second-year MBA, and I'm going to be graduating this quarter. And one of the things that you mentioned was that a high proportion of our graduates here in Ohio are leaving the state upon graduation. And because I'm graduating in 9 weeks, that's definitely a reality that I'm aware of. And I'm going to share a story of a woman I met last year, and I'm just curious what your reaction to her comments were. But she runs a new economy firm in Columbus, doing SEO and SEM, and has built her own tools and is seriously contemplating moving her firm out to Silicon Valley, because that's where she perceives the employees that she needs to scale her firm to be. And my question is, when there are people like myself and people coming out of this university and other universities that are looking for those jobs, and we perceive them to be in places like Austin, places like Palo Alto and Boston or wherever, and there are employers that think that they need to go there to get them. What is causing that disconnect here, and how can we address that?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of that's attitudes. As you were telling that story, it reminded me, as John said, I started a company called CKS, and we were one of the first technology marketers. We helped launch Yahoo, and we helped launch Amazon. We named and branded a site. And one of my biggest financial mistakes was we did the logo for eBay and the launch of eBay, and Pierre said you can have 2% of the company or $100,000. We took $100,000. But there's a firm here, and I forgot the name. The woman who runs it, Nancy Kramer. One of my toughest competitors. Resource, right? In Silicon Valley, for several of my companies, was Nancy here in Columbus, Ohio. Okay, she was, why? Because she was able to attract the best of the best in Ohio for people who wanted to be here, okay, and she competed brilliant. That's someone I'm gonna go meet. I haven't met her I haven't seen her for a very long time. So part of it, I just recently funded a company where all the engineers are in Bremen, Germany. The beauty about the internet is it can be anywhere. Another company we just recently funded, there's two guys in the Bay Area. There's 4 guys in Columbia. There's 1 guy in New York and 1 guy in Seattle. Okay, you don't have to be in Silicon Valley. Let's build an environment here. And when you have the amount of people you're graduating out of this university with your kind of background, go for it. Because the other thing is, I don't know if she's gone to the Silicon Valley, but the cost structure is a little bit different. John just announced 6%, under 6% income tax. Well, guess what I get to pay in California? 10.5%. Oh, by the way, I have 10%, almost 10% sales tax. Oh, by the way, my property tax in my house, I mean, it's not a great place for those things. So I think you can actually take those advantages and move them here. And because of the internet, because of cloud computing, because of all those things, you can actually do it here in Columbus, Ohio, or in Cincinnati, or wherever you want to do it.
You know, part of it is also the culture. I mean, and to tell you, when I look at what's been happening here for several decades, it's been a management, making the trains run on time, okay? That doesn't get you anywhere. But you have to make the trains run on time. You have to fill the potholes. Just look at Bloomberg, you know, I mean, you gotta get the snow off the streets, okay? You have to do that. But your job as the leader of the state cannot be to just fill potholes. You have to be thinking in creative ways. You know, I spent, in case you didn't know this, let me just inform you right now, I used to work for Lehman Brothers. Okay? And people try to use the business experience against me. Let me tell you, you can't go to the Silicon Valley for 10, 12 years and see what these people are doing without it. It just gets in your blood. And so we hope that we will be successful. I just met with a lot of my directors today, and this is where Mark can be so useful and where you can be useful to us. You want to come and talk to us, you come see us. But this is about pushing. This is about excellence. It's about getting us out in front on prisons and healthcare and Department of Development and agriculture. We start to create that and drag industry or collaborate with industry in this, the culture will change here. But we have never even recognized we had a cultural problem. It's going to change. If we have success, it'll happen. I think Scott wants us to take some questions in the press and cut this off. I can always tell when he starts learning. So there was one more hand here, and then we'll go to the press.
Thank you for taking my question. My name is Brent Solar. I'm a second-year MBA, and we're going to be graduating in June. And in this class, we're developing an Ohio State-developed invented technology which should increase beef production through the improved treatment of cattle to respiratory infections. And one of the things, as you both were speaking, I was questioning was, as you go forward in this new venture, this new initiative, do you, in your experience, have you found that government is generally an impediment or can be a positive force in the development? I mean, Silicon Valley has been very successful, but in your experience, has the state of California been an impediment or a driving force in the development of new businesses and new technologies?
Well, they haven't had a great track record in the last 10 years, but before that, when I was growing up, if it wasn't for the Lawrence Livermore Labs, if it wasn't for the policies in Sacramento, many of those things wouldn't happen, because they created that sort of environment with the infrastructure of the schools. I mean, the university system, the public university system in California 20 years ago was unbelievable. It's still very good, but it was off the charts then. I think you would even agree with that. And that's how they really helped. You know, having Berkeley, having UCLA, having UC Santa Barbara. I mean, the UC system was great. But I think, you know, this is not my department, but I think as of late, it's been more of an impediment than a help. And I think what I'd like to help, and I know John's doing across everything, is get those impediments out. It doesn't mean, I mean, government still is there for the citizens. It's still there for all 11.5 million Ohioans to make sure that, you know, the right things are being done. But don't create walls, because the more walls you create, I mean, starting a company, what you're doing is so hard. Okay? It is really, 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 really hard. Why should we make you jump through 15 more hurdles in order to start your own company? That's kind of how I look at it.
Okay.